Shalom, giving honor and praise unto the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. Now, this one here entitled Plagiarized question mark slash logic. I want to read what they refer to commonly in which they state, oh, the Bible was plagiarized from the principles of Maat. I'm going to read what they call the principles of Maat. And then we're going to read stuff in the scriptures and see, knowing what the definition of plagiarism is, to see if one came from the other. It says, here is one collection to give you a general idea of what they call the principles of Ma'at. And it says, 1. I have not committed sin. I have not committed robbery with violence. I have not stolen. I have not slain men or women. I have not stolen food. I have not swindled offerings. I have not stolen from God or goddess. I have not told lies. I have not carried away food. I have not cursed. I have not closed my ears to truth. I have not committed adultery. I have not made anyone cry. I have not felt sorrow without reason. I have not assaulted anyone. I am not deceitful. I have not stolen anyone's land. I have not been an eavesdropper. I have not falsely accused anyone. I have not been angry without reason. I have not seduced another's wife. I have not polluted myself. I have not terrorized anyone. I have not disobeyed the law. I have not been exclusively angry. I have not cursed God or goddess. I have not behaved with violence. I have not caused disruption of peace. I have not acted hastily or without thought. I have not overstepped my boundaries of concern. I have not exaggerated my words when speaking. I have not worked evil. I have not used evil thoughts, words, or deeds. I have not polluted the water. I have not spoken angrily or arrogantly. I have not cursed anyone in thought, words, or deeds. I have not placed myself on a pedestal. I have not stolen what belonged to God or goddess. Pay attention to this next one here. I have not stolen from or disrespected the deceased. That's number 39. I have not taken food from a child. I have not acted with insolence. I have not destroyed property belonging to God or goddess. That right there is a list of what they call the 42 principles of Ma'at. Now, let's go and understand certain things, brothers and sisters. And that is the fact that, as stated, the cultures are different. See, in Ma'at, unlike inside of the Torah, they do not have a custom of what days to keep sacred. Because as stated from the other book, you have it to where different cities did whatever they wanted according to whatever time frame they was in. For instance, when Akhenaten's theology was being denounced, they tried to erase his name out of history, and the Aten wasn't the main god anymore. Case in point. Similar situation now when we go into this type of thing right here. It distinctly shows us in the principles of Ma'at, there is no Sabbath. So when they say, for instance, that the Ten Commandments and that the laws in the Bible was plagiarized from Ma'at without even producing when, who, why, and so forth and so on, they're not even able to show how the parallels go hand in hand. For instance, let's go, if we will, to the Exodus chapter 20. All right, so that way we can see certain things right there. It says, I am the Lord thy God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's not in the principles of Ma'at. So when they tell you that the Ten Commandments came out of the principles of Ma'at, that's emphatically incorrect. Let's go down, if we will, into verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yah made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested on the seventh day. Wherefore the Most High blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. The Sabbath is not inside of the principles of Ma'at. So, therefore, of the commandments that's inside of Exodus 20, of those 10 commandments, that they have to try to sit there and wiggle their way to try to say, well, okay, it says against murder, stealing, and adultery, and coveting, and so forth. Yeah, but that's common sense. You understand? The culture of the Chinese will tell you not to murder. Did the Chinese plagiarize from the Hebrews or from Egyptians? No. That's just logic and common sense that you don't murder somebody. And to the people who care nothing about the Bible, nor anything about ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt, when some of those kind of men or women who care neither about the principles of Egypt or the Ten Commandments, when they commit adultery, if they are into that, they sneak to do it. They go to the hotel. They got to sit there and make sure they go behind everybody else's back, or we can't be seen. We got to do the creeping thing, so forth and so on. But they know good and well what they're doing is not right. And they don't care nothing about the Bible in that particular case or in the principles of Maat. So what these people in these government-funded make-believe version of Egypt that they've given to the people while trying to bash the Bible is basically try to bash the Bible, but you actually are hating. And when you hate trying to point the finger, you got three pointing right back. So you don't realize that trying to say that the Bible's plagiarized out of Egypt, you just smashed your whole concept of saying we should not deal with the Bible, because you're also saying we should deal with Egypt, which you're saying is where the Bible came from. What I'm attempting to show is two things. That's not logical right there by itself. Even if you don't read Metuneta, even if you don't care or even know anything about reading Hebrew, that's just logic. You understand? So now, getting back now into this particular subject and reference with the scriptures and how the scriptures is not plagiarized from those principles that we read of in Maat. Mind you, if we go, brothers and sisters, into Leviticus chapter 11, verse 1, so that way we can gain an understanding. Yah spoke unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which you shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever parteth the hoof, and is cloven-footed, and cheweth the cud, among the beasts that ye shall eat. Nevertheless, these you shall not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof. He is unclean unto you. Let's jump to verse 7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof, and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud. He is unclean unto you. Of their flesh you shall not eat, and their carcass you shall not touch. They are unclean unto you. Now, in Leviticus 11, it gives you a list of animals that are clean to eat and a list of animals that are not clean to eat. There is no diet inside of the principles of Ma'at. We just read the 42 principles of it. There's no diet in there telling you what you should and should not eat. The only thing that it says in there, in reference with that, is, I have not stolen food what belongs to God or goddess. But it's not telling you what is good to eat and what is not good to eat. And some people then say it's because, well, we ain't need those kind of laws that you see in the Bible to understand what to eat, because we already had that kind of science. And if you had that kind of science already, then why did you need anything even called the principles of Ma'at in the first place? If you already had it all down, packed, and on lock, as the saying goes in the street. If you had it already together, to use that terminology, why did you even need what they call the principles of Ma'at from the papyrus Ani? That would have never been needed if you already had social structure already. See, the Israelites are very candid and honest in speaking about their ways. Well, we transgress the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. You know why Israelites are told to wear fringes? It's so that way they may look upon it and remember to keep the laws of the Most High. So the cultures itself between the Egyptians and the cultures itself between the Israelites are different. The calendar is different. The geography is different. And that's stated, not to be redundant, the people who state that the Bible came out of Egypt then have no leg to stand on, because these are some of the same people who sit there and state that the ancient Hebrews never existed. See, this is what happens when you're thinking without speaking. This is what happens when you actually allowing yourself to be made to look like a fool. You understand? But you have the people who take these so-called doctors who have the PhD and they've been in this university and they've done this and that. So therefore they follow them blindly because of somebody else's accomplishment. What do you call that? Blind faith. Somebody got a degree and you're going to sit there, as the saying goes, ride and die on somebody else's degree? That man is a doctor. He spent half of his life doing that stuff, man. Are you serious? You're going to ride on another man's life, and then you wonder why the black woman don't respect the black man, because the black man is looking to another man to sit there and find out what to do. Brothers and sisters, that right there just goes to show you that you don't have the understanding of righteousness. You don't have the understanding of, as the saints, to get the wind behind your back and push forward. Because here's the thing. While you, as the saying goes in the street, sweating the next man, or as some people might say, you are riding on the next man's name and so forth and so on, you can never make your own name. You can never be great within yourself. See, the scriptures in the book of Deuteronomy 30, it says when Israel returned back to keep the laws of the Most High, that the Most High will make their descendants greater than their fathers. You're supposed to be greater than your fathers. Not just sit back and look, our ancestors built the pyramids. Our ancestors made a sphinx. And then you just comfortable with that? No, that's not the ways of Israel. You see, the cultures are different. See, when you go to Ezekiel 38 and 39, it talks about how Israel is going to have to go to war with the nations when Israel returns back to their land. When you go to Ezekiel 40 to Ezekiel 48, it talks about the institution of the priesthood reestablished. It talks about the building of the temple. That means you can't look at what someone else did. You got to put your own hands to the task. See, that's very, very important to let it be noted and understood. So you can't do like your friend right here in this picture. See, I want to sit there and show you a picture of something from ancient Egypt, right? Take a look at this right here. Take a look at this right here and see if there's something wrong with this picture. How is your man right here sitting down with something in his hand like he ain't got nothing to do while everybody else there is working? See, this is what some people in ancient Egypt was about. And this is the kind of thing that they try to present to us as a people, that all you got to do is look at what someone else did and just sit there and keep on complimenting them and get upset when somebody of those Hebrew Israelites tries to sit there and bash a big black scholar who did something, man. Brothers and sisters, they got people sounding like females who are males, man. You understand? We're going to keep the language clean, but real talk, there's no way in the world you ever going to expect a black woman to respect you when everything you doing is talking about another man. Because some women, no offense, and I'm not a psychiatrist, but some women may say, well, what's the point in being with this man? He's going to talk about the next man. She may as well be with the next man if he's that great. Brothers and sisters, we are losing our families. We are losing our nation. Our women are turning into women. Our children are turning into gangs. What are we going to do to sit there and get back our people? Two things. One, we have to do the opposite of the Willie Lynch concept. But then in the so-called conscious community, the same ones who try to promote like that Egypt thing and bash the Bible, Willie Lynch never existed. That thing was made up by somebody inside of a university back in 1970. Even if that is true, look at the society in which we are in. But see, what happens is when you teach or push the idea that Willie Lynch never existed, no other scholar spoke about Willie Lynch in that day and time. So that means you have no problem with black women who are dark-skinned saying they don't want a dark-skinned man. Light-skinned women saying they don't want a light-skinned man. Dark-skinned don't like light-skinned don't like dark-skinned. Men don't like women. Men don't like the women don't like the men. The children ain't getting along with the families and so forth and so on. That sounds like the curses that came upon Israel in Deuteronomy 28 for breaking the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. So the difference between, another difference that is, between Maat principles and the ways of the Most High, and we're going to make a part 3 to this, is that the ways of the Most High tell you what to do to get back in reference to being with the Most High. Maat didn't leave nothing on record to return back to her. Yah, the God of Israel, did. So this, as stated, is not a bash on Egypt, ancient Egypt, because they were good for what they were good for. But what has happened is that of all the civilizations in Africa, it's interesting that that seems to be the one that's promoted. And you